We enter today's episode 3.5 games back from the division despite being 53-60. It's looking like 500 baseball might be all it takes to win the Central this year and make it to the postseason. We are further back in the wild card race, so it looks like our only path to the playoffs this year will be by winning the division, and I think that's something that is in play and a goal we could have to finish up this year strong. In order to get there, I do think there are a couple of changes that we could make to maybe increase our chances. Nick Gonzalez just has not been nearly as good this year as he was last year. In fact, he's even been worse than he was back in year one. And meanwhile, we've had Jared Triolo here playing up to an 80 overall and doing some good things at AAA. I think the first move I'm going to do is going to be switching these players around and hoping we can get some better production at that second base spot for the rest of the season. I think the other thing we need to do is officially just now cut ties with Oneil Cruz. It's August now, so there's no trading him away. Not that I think he'd have much value playing like this, but there aren't a lot of options in the outfield that really intrigue me in terms of replacing him. But I think the one thing that we could do is play Willie Castro there. He has center field versatility. He may not be the best defender there, but it would allow us to get Peguero some more run, who's played well for us this season. I mean, relatively speaking, if we're comparing him to Oneil Cruz. So I think making a move to bring Peguero in at shortstop full-time rather than just be the DH against lefties, and then Willie Castro playing the center field and just saying goodbye to Oneil Cruz come the off season. We've seen enough at this point. He needs to go. And between Gonzalez and Cruz, those were two of our worst bats in the lineup this season. So I think just moving off of those two guys could maybe give us enough of an offensive boost to close the gap. Now, we also have the impending MLB debut of Billy Fink. Could happen this episode, could happen the next. Same thing with David Yan, as he only has about a week left on that broken ankle. And those two could obviously also be contributing factors to pushing us over the top in winning our division this year. It's just really a matter of whether it's this episode or next episode that they make their MLB debuts. Let's go ahead and see if the moves we made to shuffle up our lineup will have any sort of impact, as we'll take a look in a game against the Cardinals, who have the exact same record as us. We are kind of the two in the Central that still have a chance of coming back and winning it, I'd say, this year. We're going to watch the free agent acquisition Luzardo pitch in this one. Hasn't had the best year overall, but is coming off a 2-game stretch where he has pitched really well, and he'll look to keep it going against Mauricio Dubon and the rest of this Cardinals roster, as he will fly out to begin this game. Luzardo, like his skill set, you do worry about the pitching clutch, which is something that, for the most part, just kind of, in my experience at least, results in some just innings where it all falls apart quickly, right? You can have a great game going, but as soon as you start getting consistent runners on base, all of a sudden you can have these really, really rough innings. We'll see if that ends up being the case here, but that's been the one kind of drawback I've seen from these pitching clutch pitchers. Doesn't matter if they pitch 3-4 great innings, it can all turn around with the drop of a hat, but he does start things off really well in the first for us here. Robles. How much longer is he going to keep that leadoff spot? I think when more likely. We end up calling up Billy Fink, taking up that leadoff spot. Might be the best spot for Fink this season, with Jazz Chisholm having a strong year, hitting in that third spot, and Victor Robles not quite being the leadoff man I was hoping for. Speaking of Jazz here, he will get a single to start this game with 2 outs, and now he is in scoring position for Spencer Horwitz. I forgot to change his number to 6. I remember planning that being the plan after last episode, but I forgot, so we'll probably just let him honestly stick at 3 for the rest of the season instead. But nothing doing there for the Pirates despite getting in scoring position there, so we're into the second inning, where Wilson Contreras has hit .295 so far on the season for St. Louis. But Jazz Chisholm, with the throw, will retire him here to kick off the top of the second. High and inside, Mason Wynn. It's going to drop in shallow center field for a bloop single. Definitely the best young hitter on that team. Here, we get the 4-6-3 double play to get out of the second inning. You love to see it. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of double plays in this rebuild as much as I did. It felt like in the Rockies franchise, but maybe that's just not actually accurate. It just felt like a while since I've seen one. Nice to see one there. The fielders helping out their pitcher there as Josh Bell will swing and miss at that low pitch here for strike 3. Well out and ahead of it. Jared Triolo, one of the changes we made, was hitting pretty well at AAA, but flies out here in his first plate appearance back at the majors for this season, as we get to take a look here at some MLB news from around the league, as it looks like the NL East race is looking pretty dang close between the Braves and the Phillies. Full count. Bader will reach a dribbler right up the middle. Not really a hard hit ball, but he will be awarded with a base hit here. Kind of like that Mason Wynn hit earlier. Maybe getting a little lucky here with some of these hits allowed. As Dubon swings that high heat for the second strikeout of the day for Luzardo. Really good. Strike 3 pitch there. That'll bring up Lars Nootbaar. That throw from Endy is too high. So Harrison Bader slides in easily for his 10th of the season. Nootbaar, that's well struck to right field, giving chases Robles. But that should score the first run of the ball game. And out on the tag. What a throw from Victor Robles. We allow the run. But you got to love a guy with just an awesome arm out in right field. It's one of my favorite things to search for, is a right fielder with an awesome arm, because of plays just like that. That was a perfect throw. Peguero, pitch over the middle. Doesn't have a ton of power, but he gets enough of this one to leave the yard. Tying this game up at 1 apiece. Answering back for that RBI hit by Nootbaar. And with 1 out here, bottom of the third, we are back even. The top of the lineup back up for Pittsburgh. The slider gets Robles looking for out number 2. Reynolds 0 for 1. Not a terrible pitch to hit there, but he couldn't square it up, and Nolan Gorman retires him. So just the solo shot from Peguero going to have a bigger role going forward this season. So far, looks like he's making the most of it. Another weekly hit ball for the Cardinals there. It seems like they're getting really lucky. Some of these hits. Gorman. That one is off the wall. I thought it was going to be gone for a moment. That was not a weak hit by any means. But Brendan Donovan will hold up at third. So 2 runners in scoring position, and this is where the pitching clutch could potentially become a problem. Contreras singles it out to right. Robles with the throw inside, and Cardinals decide not to test him there for the second run, but it will be an RBI single. Mason Wynn up next. Runners on the corners. To Jazz Chisholm. The 5-4-3 double play will also score that third St. Louis run, though. So both of the players in scoring position do get home. Ball 4 on that borderline inside pitch. Will be the first walk of the day allowed for Luzardo. Now 1-2. Bader had a hit before and has another one here. Back to the wall again, Robles. With the throw inside, and again they decide not to test the arm of Robles. That's another perk of that strong arm out in right field, that sometimes they just don't test it, and you'll end up saving some runs that way as well. That'll end the day from Luzardo, and just like I was talking about, he just all of a sudden here in the fourth couldn't get really much to go his way. He got that double play, but otherwise was getting just hit after hit from this Cardinals team. Add in the walk, and it was just too much for Luzardo to handle. Jazz, he gets one to fall in front of center field over there for his second single. He'll take it. Now he's going for a second again. 2 steals on the day for Jazz Chisholm. Been one of the few guys actually able to do anything offensively for us. Spencer Horwitz cracks one to right. It is gone. And we are tied once more, this time 3 apiece, as Horwitz, with his 13 long ball of the year, bringing himself and Jazz Chisholm home. That was a beautiful pitch to crush, and he got everything he could out of that one. Into the crowd here at PNC Park. Tied once more 0-2 for Triolo. Swing and a miss in the dirt. Contreras makes the easy throw. And every time I almost call him Seattle. Every time St. Louis has scored, we've answered right back. But that's really been all we've been able to do. 3 runs on 4 hits so far for us. Burrows back out here for the 5th. Had to call him up when we put Bubba Chandler down to AAA. He gives up another weak hit single, man. What's up with all these weak hits? Not all of them are weak hits, to be sure. As it's hauled in by Robles in foul territory right at the wall. For the first out. Donovan. This is well struck to right field. It is going to be off the wall. Robles handles it. The relay throw inside is not going to be enough. St. Louis retakes the lead. And we're having another troublesome inning here. This time from Burrows, but only 1 run allowed this time, as the slider will get Contreras swinging. Well, we've always been able to answer the Cardinals up to this point. Can we do it again? Get that 1 run back. Going to be a fly out here to Donovan by Rodriguez to start. 9-hitter Peguero, solo shot earlier. He's getting back on base here. Should be extras as that one will get to the wall. The throw from Nootbaar is in, but a stand-up double for Peguero, making the most of his expanded role so far. Robles swinging and missing. for the 4th strikeout of the day for Tink Hence. Pitched pretty solidly for the Cardinals in this game. And nothing doing with the Peguero double. And we, for the first time, aren't able to answer in the same inning. Broken bat. Horwitz on the tag to retire Ivan Herrera. Bader crushed this ball. It is gone. What a game from Harrison Bader. Not maybe the guy that you think of first when facing off against this team, but he's had a really good game here today, extending the Cardinals' lead. 5-3 now with 2 gone, top of the 6th. Nolan Arenado, how much he has fallen all the way down to the 9th spot. Now in his mid-30s. I believe he's an upcoming free agent as well. The Cardinals actually have a decent amount of upcoming free agents. I know Lars, Brendan Donovan, and Nolan Arenado are all set to become free agents. We'll see how much the Cardinals try and retain any of them, as T. Hance's day will now be done after allowing Jazz Chisholm to walk. They really just wanted to get a lefty in there for Spencer Horwitz. And Jazz has 19 stolen bases on the season. He has 3 in this game. They would end up retiring Horwitz, who's terrible against lefties, and then Josh Bell goes down as well. We've had, players get in scoring position, Jazz, 3 times. We just haven't done a good enough job of bringing them home. Only 5 hits to 11 for the Cardinals. Our offense just hasn't quite been there today. Top of the order back up as Mike Burrows will remain in the game, and there is another bloop single, man. What is up with all of those in this game? This is crazy. Can we stop with those, please? That was left over the middle. Lars Nootbaar gonna make us pay for it. The throw is towards home plate, but it just wasn't close on that one. A little bit too far. James Waylock now into the game. Let's see if he can get anything going. He instantly gives up a hit. Going home, but another St. Louis run scores. The Cardinals offense has really gotten things going lately. They're just doing a good job of stringing together hits. They do have, home run on their plate, but for the most part, it's just been singles and doubles as Waylock really struggling here. The base is now loaded here with still no outs. What's going on with Waylock in this game? I don't know how they didn't test Willie Castro's arm there. I think they would have scored had they done so. Maybe they thought it was still O'Neal Cruz out in center field. He does have a strong arm. Robles, we'll see if they test here. And no, they will not. So they got a couple of fly balls, decided not to test either time. Full count pitch is by Harrison Bader. Finally, we were able to retire Harrison Bader. But it's looking like, unless this offense can wake up in a major way, the Cardinals are just going to overpower us here at home in this game. 2 gone. Bottom of the 7th. Bring up Peguero. It's been he and Jazz Chisholm as our best offensive players today. Make it 3 for 3 for Peguero. Should I have been going to this guy much earlier? Maybe a potential diamond in the rough. With a 3-hit performance here today. Hitting in that 9 spot. It's not just been singles either. 2 doubles and a homer. Robles. Finally going to get on base here, and that's going to score Peguero. All the way to the wall. And it is an RBI double for Victor Robles. Finally getting involved in this game. His 19th double of the season thus far. That trims the lead by 1 here. 3 to go. Brian Reynolds, a dribbler, does get off the glove of Mason Wynn, keeping the 7th alive, and now Jazz Chisholm The other player who's played well today, 2 for 2, also has a walk. No, swinging and missing at the splitter. Well below the zone. Could have been a nice rally inning for us, but instead we'll settle for just the 1 run. Into the 8th now. Carmen Majinski comes in, facing off against Arenado, and then the top of the order, Mauricio Dubon. Can we please actually get to the ball this time? Yes, we can, thankfully. Avoiding another softly hit single. And the cutter up top. Will be strike 3 to end the inning. Finally a good inning pitched for the Pirates. It feels like it's just been nonstop Cardinals hits here in the second half of this ball game, whereas our Pirates team hasn't been able to keep up with that. Castro bunt attempt not going well. Broken bat here from Josh Bell, and hey, he'll reach. Wasn't pretty, but a hit is a hit. Can Jared Triolo do anything with it? Doesn't look like it. The force out of second will send us to the 9th. Time is running out for our Pirates. Fulmer, end of the game. He has not pitched all that well this year. Not sure. I mean, maybe I would bring him in here because the chances of us winning this ball game are quite thin. Oh, boy. That pitch gets by Andy Rodriguez. Gives Donovan a free base on a wild pitch. That's going to get through the infield. Bases are loaded. Now with another hit from Wilson Contreras. Been singles and doubles, and another one here. Come on, man. The 8th run scores, as does number 9. Still no outs. And our manager's already tired of Fulmer here. His struggling season continues. Unfortunately, Dario Moreta has not been much better for us this year. Finally gets an out, though. Runners hold. Harrison Bader. He gets on base again. Past the diving glove of Horwitz. And 10 runs now on the board for St. Louis. We cannot stop a nosebleed right now. It's just hit after hit. Arenado, he will get yet another hit as the diving Willie Castro can't make the play. 11-4. This 9th inning just won't end. What is going on? 12 runs for the Cardinals as the throw from Reynolds wasn't quite there, and I was so upset watching this at this point. I mean, we're already dead. Stop kicking us. We are already dead. Oh my goodness. What an awful, awful pitching game from this staff. Just anyone who we brought in just couldn't stop the Cardinals from getting all these singles and doubles, stacking them together. Great offensive performance from them. 21 hits is kind of wild. Not like unheard of by any means, but it is a fair amount. I believe as of the time I recorded this, it was the most hits in a season so far in real life. It would have been tied for the most. I need a palate cleanse from the pitching here, so let's shift gears and just watch a little bit of Jazz Chisholm. I think he played pretty solidly for us, was one of the lone bright spots alongside Peguero last game. And I also just want to give an opportunity to shout out Jazz Chisholm, who's honestly been an awesome signing for us so far. Back when I made the decision to sign him for 6 years at over $20 million, that I was understandably so, quite honestly, met with some hesitancy in the comments section. A lot of people making it known that they were not fans of the move. I think so far it's worked out in a pretty big way for us. He has been our best offensive player. He's our most expensive offensive player, so that's kind of what we were expecting him to be. But I think he's even exceeded my expectations, honestly. I was hoping that he'd have an 800-plus OPS kind of season and be somebody that could provide a boost to this team. Like I said, I understood a lot of the hesitancy and the lack of support for the move at the time. Part of the reason for that is, as we're seeing right here in this game, he's not all that great against lefties. And so that was a big risk, especially as a team, with this episode, we're trying to push for a playoff spot here. Getting a guy like Jazz, who I think is easier than some, I should say, to game plan for. If it's in the 8th inning, a high leverage situation, all a team needs to do is bring in a left-handed pitcher, and all of a sudden his ratings are drastically dropped. That's the kind of player that you like to face off against in the playoffs, but his hitting has been awesome. He's already hit a career high for his home runs. He has the potential to end up breaking triple digits for RBI this year, which would be awesome. It'd be by far his career high. He hasn't even had a season of 80 RBI in his career yet. And so, the move could not, what am I trying to say here? It maybe wasn't the smartest move at the time of signing it here, but less than a year later, it's hard to be anything other than happy with the result we've gotten so far. And certainly kind of my personal fandom of Jazz Chisholm might have impacted my desire to sign him. Maybe if I didn't know Jazz Chisholm at all, I wouldn't have been interested in him. But yeah, like I said, it's hard to be anything other than excited for what he has done for this team so far. I think he'll fit well with the guys that we have coming up, which is, of course, was the main reason we signed him at all, was because we did have some exciting hitters about to enter the league and wanted somebody young enough that could still kind of play alongside them. Facing off against another left-handed pitcher here in Nestor Cortez. So we're getting a good look at what his weakness is. Now, even though it technically is a weakness, he's not great. I don't think he's so bad. It's not like a Brian Hayes situation, how bad he was against right-handed pitching. It's not even like a Spencer Horwitz, who's utterly atrocious against left-handed pitching, to the point where I felt the need, and I will continue to feel the need as long as he is our first baseman, to find somebody else to play in left-handed lineups. I'm not like the biggest platoon guy usually. I usually just like to have my guys at every position, even if they are stronger against one side. I'll just move them up and down the order. But like a Spencer Horwitz is so bad that you just can't have him be in the lineup against left-handed pitching. Jazz Chisholm isn't that bad. He certainly does lose a lot, though, and as you can see, he hits in that third spot against right-handed pitching, but here in these Jazz Chisholm-specific episodes, he has been hitting in the 5 spot. You could maybe even argue for a spot or 2 down, but just based off his production, I put him in that 5 spot. I technically don't know if he's I haven't looked recently at all at what his splits are numbers-wise against right-handed and left-handed pitching, but he's getting upgrades to his pitching against left-handed pitchers. So I think he's at least doing solid so far this year. Something not really to worry all that much about. Didn't do much to get excited about in the first player spotlight game. Again, it was against a lefty, but hopefully here he'll have more of an impact in this second game. We've been doing a decent amount of losing here to start the month of August, unfortunately. Haven't played well against the other 2 division rivals that are vying for the division crown so far this year, as he'll strike out looking there. Get another look at it from the cam. 0 for 2 so far. Hitless in the series at this point. Would love to see him hit a homer. This one chopped to short and make that 0 for 3 here. Back at the top of the 8. They are into their bullpen, but it's another lefty. No shortage of lefties in this Milwaukee squad. That is for certain. He's down to 267. I think we started this episode at like 270. So he's gone down a little bit. And the Pirates are also down 6-3 here. Can we get a Jazz hit? No, we cannot beat the pitcher there. Back-to-back hitless games. I don't know how much we can continue to watch. But this does illustrate that he does have that weakness, of course. And it could be something that comes back to bite us once we become a playoff caliber team, which will either be this year if we can close out the season well, or next year for sure. As you saw there, he already has his career high in RBI. I would love it if he was able to get to that triple-digit mark. That would be awesome. The Milwaukee Brewers now 2 games over 500. They started the episode at 500. So they're doing a good job of distancing themselves from the Pirates here early. But we finally get to see Jazz go up against a righty here in Tobias Myers. That pitch was left over the middle. You gotta crank that, Jazz. But you can't hit them all here. 10th pitch of the first. Jazz will be retired. A diving play made at first. Great job there defensively to retire him. I mean, I did this player spotlight to, A, cleanse myself from how terrible the pitching was in that Cardinals game, and B, highlight how good Jazz has been for us in this season. And there you go. We finally get a highlights as that one gets straight to the wall, diving in for the double. An extra base hit for a Jazz here. That'll hopefully snap what had become a little bit of a cold streak for our best hitter this season. Had that been a perfect throw, he probably would have been out, but I don't mind risking it there, because if it was anything other than a perfect throw like it was, then he was going to be in there safe. Into the 6th inning now. It's another fairly low-scoring game here, 2-1. Oh, 2 pitch for Chisholm, and it backs him off the plate. The slider inside. Tobias Myers doing a pretty good job with his pitch count so far, only 65. Not bad at all. With no outs here, top of the 6th. He'll probably at least finish off this inning in line for a quality start. Pitching by the Brewers in this episode has been really good. Spencer Horwitz on deck. Payoff pitch upcoming for Tobias Myers is fouled off by Jazz. We've got a good battle going here to kick off the 6th inning. Jazz looking for a multi-hit day, and he's going to look at that cutter. I don't know what he was expecting from that pitch, but you gotta protect there. But it was a really good battle, for sure. Back to going up against lefties here. Jared Koenig back in the game for Milwaukee. 0-2 is going to be fair. We do get a hit against the lefty here in a multi-hit game from Jazz in our 3rd and final player spotlight game. Unfortunately, another loss here to Milwaukee as they increase their lead on us here in the NL Central as the season continues. After a series loss against the Dodgers here, the Pirates now sit at 62 and 72 on the season. Now 6.5 games back from the Brewers for trying to win the Central this year. And there's only one move I can think of to potentially try and save the season. And that is the call-up of Billy Fink and David Yan together. Billy Fink has been absolutely mashing in AAA as well, up to 273 at-bats, almost 1,000 on the OPS. He is clearly ready for the show and could be the boost we need offensively to win the division this year. In addition, David Yan has now been back for a little bit over 10 games. I think he came back on the 7th, and he's been hitting well, a 942 OPS since his return from injury, at least in the last 10 games. And so both of these players are ready for the show. Both of these players will be making their debut against the San Francisco Giants. But I want that to kind of be the headliner of its own episode. We tried to make some changes in-house, within our MLB team to hopefully, spark some sort of run. Didn't work for us so far in this episode, but in the next one, we will have some very exciting additions here. Let's give a quick stat update for the team as we will end off this episode at this date. Paul Skenes currently on hot streak, just 7-7 wins and loss wise here, but 150 strikeouts and 150 innings to just 35 walks. ERA at a 2.81, 1.24 on the whip. Jared Jones now at a 4.18 ERA and a 1.31 whip. Jazz Chisholm continues to add on to his career year, now up to 32 home runs, looking for his first 100 RBI season this year. Mitch Keller, he's been below a 3 ERA for a large portion of this season. It's currently just above it now. Reynolds, 282 average and a 19 home run season. Talked about what Billy Fink's doing at AAA. We already know what the deal is with O'Neal Cruz. Jesus Luzardo, probably a little underwhelming in his first season with us. Willie Castro, not doing all that great. Yohan Oviedo, whips a little high, but ERA is in a solid spot. Victor Robles has been honestly a little disappointing this year. I just can't lie to you. Losing 4 contact versus right-handed pitching. Was hoping for more from that leadout spot. Jojo Romero, now 42 saves to 4 blown here on the season. What a pickup that has been for the closer spot. Triolo, we brought him up to replace Nick Gonzalez, and it hasn't quite been what we were expecting. His OPS is still higher than what we've gotten from Gonzalez this year, so he'll likely stay there for now. Nick Gonzalez, on the other hand, is doing pretty solidly. Nothing too crazy, but hopefully some time in AAA can get him right. Albert Sweeney's 17 homers is giving him a +9 power versus righties, but his contact is down across the board as he's below 650 OPS. He's somebody that's unlikely to get the call-up this year. Bubba Chandler has taken well to getting optioned down to AAA. I could see him being a September call-up for us for sure. James Waylock got him in a trade, and in his 98 innings, he's doing pretty good for us. How close is Buford Kingman? I'd say he's getting really close. Much better against lefties still than he is against right-handed pitching. But with kind of the uncertainty now in the outfield with O'Neal Cruz now officially being somebody that we're, pulling the pin on, I think Buford Kingman's path to the MLB is not a long one. Spencer Horwitz, 15 home runs for us. OPS above 750. Termar Johnson has hit 13 home runs so far in AAA. Good looking numbers here. Another man who is not too far away from making his debut. In terms of debuts for this season, I think we're really only going to get Jan and Fink, but next year we could have a whole slew of debuts to talk about, which could be really fun for the team for sure. But continuing on here with our stats check-ins, Richard Lynn doing really well in AAA. Diego Mosquera getting a little bit worse in terms of hits per nine as his whips a little high, but the ERA is in a really solid spot for him. And Pete Good is up to a 67 overall. He's gotten +6 pitching clutch so far this year, which is really nice to see. And right on track, I think, with his development. And that pretty much wraps it up, I think, for the guys that we are worried about their progression this season. Next episode, we will see if the debuts of Jan and Fink can potentially push the Pirates over the top into potentially winning the division. That's all I've got for the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back soon with more Pittsburgh Pirates franchise. And until then, let's go Bucks.